Hello, hello. Nice to see you back again. I'm here, still here, talking to my camera in my empty room. Behind me is the Harbour Bridge. You can't see it. The light is a little bit funny in here, but it's okay. As long as you can see and hear me, we're halfway home. So, okay, what we've got here is a hangout that discusses how important posture is. So basically, your posture is most fundamental to how your health and well-being is. Okay, as we age, you don't see kids with really bad posture, like young toddlers and stuff like that. As we age, we become what we habitually do. So sitting at a desk has a lot to answer for, because many of the issues that we have are physiologically associated with sitting for 8 to 12 hours. I guess many people at a desk every single day. Not a good idea. And coming from someone who's delivering this to you sitting at a desk, yep, I can see the irony in that. But believe me, this is a tiny bit of what I do in my day. My days are very long, 16 to maybe 18 hours long. I don't sleep that much. I'm a bit of an insomniac, but the sleep that I do gets very deep and very rewarding. And I made a choice that everything that I do, I want to drag myself into bed at night knowing that I've done every last thing I can. And the last thing I want to do is spend more time in bed or sitting down when there's so much to do, so many people to see, so much to experience. I can sleep when I'm dead, as they say, which might be sooner rather than later if I carry on. Who knows? Who can tell? You can do all this stuff and be the healthiest person alive, but then you step outside and you get run over by a bus. You never know. Things like that happen all the time. Just live your life, man. So being aware of your posture in the meantime, if you're not going to get hit by a bus and you've managed to survive this far, or if you're young and you don't know, I would say realistically, they should teach this stuff in school. Posture is the most amazing thing that your body's going to have to deal with. Now, forget your workouts. If you don't know how to align your body, if you don't know how to engage your core muscles, then basically you're going to find this a very, very rough ride to be able to do anything. Now, most people who work at a desk for a long period of time, where their screen is down low and their keyboard is here in front of them, basically we call that a sagittal plane, which is backwards and forwards movement. And most people's lives are built around that sagittal kind of framework, which means their bodies just travel backwards and forwards, and they don't really get much lateral move or rotational move because they're stationary. They've been plonked there. Theoretically, it's to the employer's advantage that they have this stationary position because there's very little else you can do. There's no means of moving around and doing your work when it's all intellectual and very little physical. But as animals, we are physical beings. We are very physical beings. So when we give too much of that essence or that element of ourselves to our survival to derive money, or to earn a living, we sacrifice our movement. The body starts to adjust itself into that position. Now, every single one of us here on Earth have to breathe. Every single one of us on Earth, unless you're dead, of course, has to be, is subject to the conditions of gravity, okay? Gravity will always bring you down, not in a I'm heavy and I feel bad way, but you have gravity pushing you downward. So not only are you static and sedentary, but the 1G of gravity that's consistent throughout the planet is also pushing you down. Now, if you think of things like stalagmites and stalactites in caves, limestone caves, the water runs through and the sediment that runs through the rock on the water comes down and it creates these stalagmites and stalactites of years and years and years of that happening. Now, every 15 years, what happens is your body just gets rid of, as you're younger, your body changes in a shorter period from 8 to 15 years as you get older. But every last cell that you had in your body after 15 years as an adult, we'll just say that more or less, is no longer there. Everything has been changed. So your bones have changed, the skin has changed, everything has changed. Every cell has changed. It's died and been replaced, regenerated with new. And it's a consistent function of the body that does that. It continues to change and to update and to repair cells and make things different. So in order to facilitate that ongoing process, you need to make sure you're feeding your body right. And then you need to make sure that you're positioning it in a way that teaches your body where to clean those bones and everything into. Now, you might think or might imagine if it became down to a choice between which is the most dominant, the muscle or the bones, in dictating how that is cleaned, so cleaning every day into that position of replacement, you'd think that because the bones are harder, they would be the ones that would be pulling the muscles up, or quite the opposite. The muscles start to change to accommodate for the positioning that you're in. And that's a matter of survival, something the body does to survive. It says on a very low level at the back brain, Pat's doing this to survive. We'll clean the body like this because it's obviously the position that he feels he can survive in. And the front brain is really telling us, we've got to sit here, this is our responsibility. But the back brain doesn't have that kind of dialogue. It just says, do this, and it does the programming things in the back. And there's something called piezoelectric effect. And the stimulus that I'm getting from every position that I'm in habitually, consistently, day after day, is how my bones start to clean themselves according to the stresses in the muscles that pull the bones into different shapes, okay? So the space between the skeletal system is dictated by how the muscle pulls backwards and forwards, okay? So if I'm always with my shoulders up and rounded forward, my bones start to clean themselves in that position eventually, and over those 15 years, that's where we see older people all hunched up, okay? So basically we move away from a position of freedom and liberal movement from a blueprint where we were born and children and running out in fields and bikes and up and down, to a place just plonked in front of a desk where we relinquish our ability to control that, because the stimulus is just this 1G of force pushing us down, 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 and creating this compression, the loss of something called tensegrity in the body, which is tension, compression, and integrity. As we lose this tension, compression, integrity in the body, all the organs which are housed in this really bony structure up here, the ribs, for example, which is supposed to be like this, start to all get pushed downwards slowly, slowly, slowly. So the lungs can't work properly, their function is reduced, the liver is squashed in there, the heart can't beat as much or as freely, the spleen, all the intestines get compressed, everything starts to take a burden and go south because of this positioning. And that's perfectly normal, it makes common sense, right? If it's all coming down like this, but I'm not standing up straight all day long, I'm keeping my chest lifted and my neck nice and long, shoulders away from ears, I'm not engaging my core muscles because I have no need, because I'm not balancing, I'm just perched on something that's stable, I no longer have to rotate because the wheels on the chairs do that. Well, basically what happens is I'm becoming a product of my environment. So I'm going from being more like Fred Astaire over here, twirling and dancing, all those wonderful moves that he could make so freely, to more like Frankenstein over this side. And there's a transition that I'm making through my career that I'm relinquishing. So you might think that you're getting paid for the job that you're doing, but you're actually being rewarded for the loss that you're making for accepting your gradual transformation into Frankenstein. It's true. Frankenstein was sewn from all these pieces put together, and he walked just like this with no finesse. Whereas over here, Fred Astaire is doing his little tap dance and twirling around like, you know, some kind of wonderful vision, okay? But we lose that. We surrender that passively. And it's a sick joke, really, because our posture is changing. We forget, or we never taught how important it is to align the spine, to be mindful of pulling the chest up, the shoulders back and down, standing nice and straight so that the 1G continues to allow pushing us down into a way the bones clean themselves into this optimal alignment position. Things like Pilates and yoga, all about this, how the spine and the movement therein dictates everything else. So neutral pelvis, for example, equals neutral spine. Now, I can't go into too much detail on that, on how to do it, because it's more of a dialogue, but this is where it becomes important for you to go and find help. Once you have the help, you're able to then apply these things consistently. Now, if you do it now, whatever it is, relativity suggests if you've had 15 years of sitting at a desk, it could take you 15 years to get out of that. So there's never a better time to start putting a little bit more emphasis on it, because as we look forward, if things aren't good at 40 and you were better at 20, well, we can see that it's just going to continue that trend line downward. And the trend line is where we're looking at, where 60 is not looking great if my posture is already bad here and it was really good over there. So we need to get a proactive means of addressing that and understanding it and applying it consistently until it becomes your new way of life. And it sounds like a big deal, but it's fucking easy just to sit here, you know what I mean? Yes, okay, so you're going to sit there and you're going to give up the best years of your life, allowing your body to slowly erode into the dust. When you do need it, when you're older, when you really have to rely on everything working optimally, because everything slows down as you get older. But if you had things you could have changed, but you didn't, well, that is like a sign of lunacy, really, isn't it? You took the chance that things would be fine, and you assume that you can continue to do the things that you can do now, but you've done nothing to proactively endorse those movements or to preserve them or to keep them in check, to know that they are not disintegrating or degenerating to the point where you won't be able to do those things. Some of my clients, 50 years old, can't kneel, can't cross their legs and sit on the ground with their grandchildren or their children. They can't do it. It's terrible to watch. Everything's seized up. All the bones have started to fuse together. The vertebrae started to fuse together. It's really terrible. One of the biggest things we see is this kind of hyperextension of the neck and rounding out of the shoulders. So you get this kind of positioning like this, where you look like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, you know? It's terrible. Who would want to live their life like that? Who would like to live like that? It's an awkward positioning. And as you get older, that even makes it harder to eat, to breathe, to drink, because you've got to lift your head up to get water, food straight down into your stomach, because the windpipe is crooked. Simple things like this. If you don't act proactively, you will find just creep up on you. And it won't be a mystery when you look back and go, oh, somebody explains it to you at 60, but they also explained it to you at 40. You go, I wonder why I didn't take that advice. So now, fantastically, you might find you've got another 20, 30 years left at 60. It's going to take you 20 years to sort that shit out, you know? Why? Where's the logic in that? Argument of doing less, having less, living more, investing in yourself, recognizing what it takes to be a healthy person. If I want to get to 100, I'm not going to get there with excess. I'm not going to get there by being lazy. You know, it's not about overexertion. It's not about going to the top of the mountain every day. It's about small victories every day. When was the last time I thought about my pelvis and the position thereof? When was the last time I thought about my pelvic floor muscles, how I activate my core, how the breathing works? If I'm not, if it's not a consideration, I'll get what life gives me, but it won't give me anything other than what I've been doing, passively or actively. So I do get some choice in there, and posture, correct posture, and learning simple shit that will last a lifetime is one of the most fundamental things that we need to instill in our children, so they move away from seated desks. Because in the UK and other parts of America now, they're starting to sue their employees for the injury that they've sustained, the sedentary illnesses, and the damage that's been done for long-term sitting, because their bosses said, this is your desk, this is where you'll sit, and this is how it will be. Okay, you said I should do that. So they're taking up the same stance that they did with smoking, and they're winning. But a win isn't good if your body's fucked anyway. A win is only good if you took into consideration, you said, well, maybe a standing desk. Maybe I get the ergonomics team to come in and change my desk up for me. That's important. And that means that you can get things right. Yeah? You can avoid that. I don't have to stand there. Every so often, whenever I go past the door frame, I'll put myself back up on the door frame, put my shoulders back, make sure my head is up, this curve here, adjust my pelvis, think about where my stomach is, the breathing, everything. But that's an ongoing commitment I made for myself. I don't want to be that old bent man, like fucking cripple at the bus stop, waiting for the bus, looking at the ground, unable to breathe properly, shuffling because I'm no longer able to move my legs. Yeah, it happens, man. It happens, and you see it all the time. And fundamentally, when we look at what kills us, it's these things that kill us in the long term. We allow these things to be the underwriting on our death certificate, because you might die of a heart attack, but it's because your rib cage is also folded in, and your shoulders are so tight and brought forward, and your back is arched, your neck is cocked up, and you've allowed that to become the new normal, and there's no but getting out of it until you actually say, okay. Now, this is the cutoff point. What have I got to do to get this right? And it's never too late. Relativity suggests what you do in one direction, you have to do in the other direction to undo it. So you may have painted yourself into a corner, but you can paint yourself out of the corner. You have to seek advice. And advice on posture is so important. I mean, there's something called the Posture League of America, which is back in the 1912, 1910, something like that. They've always gone on about it. And even in olden days, it was always something that the royals did, and they made their kids stand up. The military have all their people standing very straight because they understood that it's a discipline, it's a way of life. It's something that you put into people because it allows them to go further and go harder than just some slouchy bum position where everything looks like you've let the air out of it. Oh, life is so hard. We call that sad Muppet face. Oh, my back hurts. The thing is, if you get a bad shoulder, for example, and you don't fix that shoulder because it's also pulled in and everything's so tight, and you take no steps to amend that, then it travels through the body over to the opposite side. It's not uncommon for these pathologies to link up. So the spine stops turning, it hasn't got so much flexibility in it, so you're more likely to hurt yourself, the core muscles start shutting down, you become more dependent on the external muscles rather than the internal stabilizing muscles, which should give you that extra little bit of oomph and a little bit of power in there, so you can use them together like a really well calibrated race car or a really well trained racehorse. Everything works together. And if you eliminate one part of that, well, take the turbo out of the car, it won't go as fast, it won't be able to do as much. So keeping those things in balance and in swing by taking time to correct your posture, to understand how easy it is to do that, to work on your breathing, to work on your core control, pelvic floor, belly button to spine, all these things which we try and get into training when we train people properly. And when you see people doing some exercises, they look so bad, their alignment is bad, their posture is off, their head is cocked forward, they aren't going through full range of motion in push-ups or pull-ups. They look like some sort of flying epileptic on the pull-up bar because they're just swinging away. And they're under the illusion this is doing some good for them. It's not. It's cementing into place things that shouldn't be put into place. And every time they do that, they're nailing themselves into that coffin. So the key here is to get a good idea to begin with what good posture is, how my limbs move, the same way any mechanical thing works. It has a process. There's an optimal alignment position which encourages the best movement for the body. Look at ballet dancers. Look at all these people who have this extreme control. They couldn't do all that if they had a big hunchback. They couldn't do that if they had his head cocked up and all their spine fused. They need to stretch. They need to align themselves. They need to be strong and straight and understand that if something goes wrong, they can correct it. And that's the key to what posture is. Constant correcting in light of this piezoelectric effect, cleaning my bones and 1G of gravity always pushing me out. So I have to fight back. I have to sit up straight. I have to stand wherever possible. I have to make daily changes to my routine, because my routine is what is eventually going to kill me. And if I give that up and say, oh, fuck it, you know, I just turn up at work and go home at the end of the day and don't do anything to reverse the damage I've done during the day, or have a 20-minute workout, 20 minutes in the context of 24 hours, you fucking kidding me? What's that gonna do? Nothing. It's like a piece of shit. It has to be equal and opposite balancing. You spend 8 hours a day at your desk, you should theoretically spend 8 hours a day over the back of a Swiss ball or doing exercises which involve nice extension of the spine, not this kind of flexion forward and all this curving in, which is so detrimental. And as that happens, it's harder to strike back. It's harder to claw back what you're relinquishing passively. That's the most important thing you realize here. Posture, you relinquish passively. And as that starts to curve in, as you start to lose that, your pockets might be full, mate. But you're going to need to save all your super to pay for that surgery to sort you out. Your nerves will be shot. The muscles won't respond. The skin will be tired and saggy. Your immune system won't work properly. Your reproductive system will stop working. Your prostate will just collapse. These are all considerations as a human. We know if we don't keep one eye on them, they won't take care of themselves. And it's a huge gamble to think that it would give or take. Okay, fair enough. You might get hit by that bus, but if I don't, I'm fucking stuck, aren't I? With this dodgy body, likelihood is, you know? So what have I done? When I look at my dad, it's nothing. He's in pain. He's on tablets. He's falling to pieces. You know, he can't do anything he wants to do. His quality of life is so reduced by the things he's allowed to occur to him, which he left unaddressed. I don't like that. So he was almost something that was a motivation for me not to be that way. I looked at him and think, really? You're not going to do anything about that? Oh, it's too much like hard work, boy. I'd rather just suffer. Okay, that's for you. Do that. I know I won't. That's what I give back to my clients. I encourage these changes. Be the changes. Stand up for yourself. Quit your job if you're not happy. If you're unhappy, it makes you all like this and floppy, and you can see unhappy people a mile off. People are happy, are straight and strong and walking like Johnny Walker. Keep on walking. You can see it in their stride. They're determined. They're going somewhere. They're up to something. They've got something in mind, and they can't let something like bad posture slow them down. So they get on with it. That vim and vigor. Very British, you know, but we have to push for ourselves. I push for my kid. I want to be 100 years old and still picking his grandchildren up, you know? That's what I want. I won't give that up for something quick and easy now. The whole Yoda, if you take the quick and easy path, well, you get what you give. So give yourself a chance, put the hours in, and you will reap what you have sown. Basically, everything comes down to that. There's no shortcut. If you're not dealing with your posture, if you're not finding out or taking steps to get that right, you will get ill. You will find it hard to correct the longer you leave it. Take some small steps now. I'm Pat at I Love PT. Dear Pat, will you help me to correct my posture? I can do it online. I can show you exactly how to do that in no time at all. It's easy to master, but harder to put into practice consistently. But that's your choice. Uncle Patty says you have to do it. You have to do it, right? Maybe. It's up to you. If you don't, well, that's your choice, mate. I see you in hospital while I'm out on my skateboard at 80. All right, brother? I love you. Okay. Any questions for me? How many viewers? No viewers. We know that to be normal for us. So fundamentally, I'm going to say goodbye. If you have any questions, if you're watching on YouTube, it says be part of the audience of this Hangout. If you click on that, it'll take you to the Google Hangout screen, and you can add questions. You can add questions on Facebook. You can contact me. You can send me all kinds of things. You can make donations if you like. If this helps, then seriously, give me a call. I'll show you how to match up your posture with your exercise, with your diet. It's simple. Just takes time. You might have to have less money in your life, but you'll be the picture of health. You won't stop telling people how good you feel. Absolutely, you know? Itchy ear. Okay, I look forward to seeing you soon, and thanks for watching. Bye. Bye-bye. Bye.